Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Solo ReacTalk. This evening, I'm going to be continuing my reaction to the playlist The End and the Death of Sanguinius, compiled by Anthrax Crab. If you guys want to check out my previous reaction to the other videos on the playlist, remember that the links are going to be in the description below. And if you want to check out my reactions to other Warhammer 40k content created by YouTubers, the reaction playlist card is going to be at the top right here. Yes. We are going to be watching The End and the Death 3. Guilliman arrives at Terra. Voiceover made on the DQVO YouTube channel. Yes, that is next. Let us start. 3, 2, 1, go.
I repeat, we are 9 hours out. Deploying now to wide formation assault positions. Inbound. Terra Control, do you receive? Can you respond? Repeat, we are 9 hours out. Terra Control, we need immediate tracking guidance. Light your beacons. We are extending to wide assault formation. Terra, remain in secure defensive alignment. Hold your positions. That's all you need to do. Just hold. I repeat, we are 9 hours out. Terra Control, acknowledge. Hold your positions and light guidance now. Terra Control, this is Guilliman.
When Reboot Guilliman finishes speaking, a silence gathers in the flagship's master Vox chamber. No one dares to speak, thinks Thiel. Or no one has anything to say.
I mean, doesn't Reboot Guilliman's ships have like telescopes aboard the vessels so that they could see, what's happening? Well, I don't know if telescopes would be able to show with such clarity and detail what's happening on the surface. I think they'll be able to show the planet, and they'll probably be able to show the fleet that's orbiting the planet, and they can determine whether it's part of the traitor legions or is it the loyalist forces. I don't know. But I mean, there should be some other forms of sensory array technology that they have, that they can use, that they can peer into the vast distances between where they are and to Earth or to Terra, and just to see what they can, discern from the type of information that they might get. Yeah, I don't know. I'm clutching at straws here, guys. I don't know. Because this thing of just sending out radio messages and waiting for a response is just not enough. Okay? It's not enough.
Tension has been a permanent state for 8 days. As constant as the sigh of the air scrubbers or the hum of real space drives throbbing the deck plates. Guilliman stays in his seat, watching the Master of Vox minutely adjust the dials of the ship's main transmitter. Satisfied, Master Salactus throws the row of switches that shuts down the Voxcaster with a warm thump and ends transmission. He turns and bows solemnly to the Primarch. "Message encrypted and sent, my lord," he says. Guilliman detaches the Vox cable from the external port in his armor's gorget, passes it to a waiting attendant, and rises to his feet. "Inform me immediately of anything, Salactus," says Guilliman. "The slightest variation in background noise, even if you don't think it's a transmission." "I will, my lord." "We go again in 15 cycles," says Guilliman, by voice. "Of course, my lord." Guilliman walks towards the chamber hatch. Thiel and the protection detail fall in behind him. They go where he goes. "Review, Aeonid," the Primarch says to him without looking around. Thiel doesn't question it, or point out that they are conducting a review every 10 cycles, or remind his lord that if anything had changed while Guilliman was making his broadcast, Thiel would have been informed and would have broken in immediately. This is Guilliman's mode now. Utter, unwavering focus. To remark upon it is not to risk the Primarch's anger, but rather a cold look of reproach that a man might carry for the rest of his life, like a wound.
Yikes.
Likewise, the transmissions, every 15 cycles. The Master of Vox could easily resend the file of Guilliman's original message, but the Primarch insists on making it in person every time.
I mean, that carries more weight, more impact. And if the Primarchs can receive this message, they would really be glad to hear that it is their brother speaking live and not just a pre-recording. Because how can you know that, the message coming from the sender is still alive? What if the sender dies? What if Guilliman and his entire fleet is ambushed? They're destroyed, but the message has already been sent, and it's a pre-recorded message. So if it's live, they will have more belief that, okay, their brother is still alive, he's still coming here, we just need to hold on. Yeah.
As though his voice will carry further and more clearly than any recording.
Yeah. Also that.
Theal does not think of his lord as a superstitious man, but there is an obsessive compulsion to Guilliman's current mode, an attention to every detail, as though Guilliman worries that the slightest operational lapse will court ill fortune. You think me too careful, Aeronid? Guilliman asks as they walk. Reading my mind now, are you, my great lord? Theal thinks. Given the history of this conflict, Lord Primarch, Theal replies, it is evident that no one can be too careful. Good answer, Guilliman replies. They enter the bridge. The command deck of Guilliman's acting flagship, Courage Above All, is running quietly and diligently, despite the hundreds of personnel present. Ikos Lamiad, Tetrarch of Ultramar Konor, Captain Demet Valator, and Shipmaster Doel are waiting beside the strategium table on the dais. The table, its huge frame wrought of chased silver and steel, is already lit. Theal did not have to signal ahead. They knew a review would be required. Guilliman walks directly to the table and stares at the complex hololith it is projecting from its glass surface. The projection detail holds back, but Theal stays at the Primarch's side. Begin, says Guilliman. The Tetrarch commences his overview. It is more a recitation than a statement. They have done this every 10 cycles for the last 8 days, and scarcely a word has changed. The fleet has deployed to wide assault positions 18 light minutes outside the Terminator shock boundary of the solar realm, says Lamiad. The fleet amasses 3,200 vessels. Theal knows it by heart.
3,200. Wow.
3,200 principal vessels, most of them Grand Cruiser class or larger, supported by bulk carriers, war engine mass transports, and a flotilla of tenders. It contains most of Battlefleet Macragge, the Konor Squadron, the Sadamanth Squadron, the Lux Ultramaris Battle Group, the 3rd Vanguard Flotilla of the 500 Worlds, the Occluder 2nd Principal Fleet, the Minos Crucis Fast Attack, and allied warships of the Shattered Legions. Lamiad lists each ship by name, and Guilliman lets him. The fleet translated from warp 8 days earlier, via extra-system Mandeville points, when it became evident that the solar realm was impassable. It has been slowly approaching the hem of the realm ever since on real space impellers in an assault-ready crescent formation, 6,000 kilometers wide.
Man, 6,000 kilometers wide.
They remain assault-ready.
Man, it's unfortunate that this fleet did not arrive in time. Oh, what could have been?
Hosts of Astartes sit in silence, fully plated, in their launch-armed drop pods, or aboard Stormbirds on the launch racks of the excursion bays on every vessel. In hangar decks, pilots wait beside their prepped Furies and Xiphon interceptors, and in the echoing troop bays, Exertus and auxiliary armies in full kit shift restlessly on the loading decks beside their hulking transports. Some say it is the largest armada assembled since the early days of the Great Crusade. Thiel worries that it is not. Thiel studies the hololithic display while the Tetrarch speaks. It hasn't changed any more than Lamiad's words have. In one corner of the table glows a graphic representation of the fleet, called by some the Vengeance Fleet, and by others the Salvation Fleet. Guilliman simply calls it the Fleet. It is the first to arrive. There will be others. Other fleets currently pushing the tolerances of their warp drives as they race across the galaxy from all points to answer Guilliman's call. The vast fleet is just a little crescent on the table, like a pale new moon. The remainder of the wide surface plate shows a representation of the solar realm. It is a dark blankness without feature. There are no marker icons for the throne world, or Luna, or Mars, or even Sol. A few tags along the edge display spatial condition details obtained by scout drogues sent forward by the Solace of Ajax, the grand battleship acting as advance picket at one tip of the Armada's crescent. The data on these tags is already beginning to degrade, but what remains legible speaks only of the impossible. An abominable level of exotic energies and immaterial flux, many types of which have never previously been recorded or observed.
There must be some sort of warp anomaly that is now shrouding the solar system. The Chaos Guards are really invested in making sure that nobody interferes with what's happening on Terra. And they're helping Horus Lupercal and his traitor legions to secure the planet, making sure that anyone outside of the star system aren't able to enter in easily. Yeah, and they've kind of produced a warp anomaly or storm in the star system.
A deconstitution of real space, an absolute collapse of fourth-dimensional physics. Everything has corrupted, transfigured, or ceased.
That means my idea of using a telescope would be pointless in this type of situation. If there's a warp anomaly that is shrouding the entire solar system, I don't think any type of telescope technology would be able to peer through all of that anomaly and look directly at Earth and see, any sort of detail there, because it would be obstructed by the warp anomaly. Yeah.
There is no longer a casual flow of time in the solar realm. It is a blackness, without feature or form. An imperfect sphere of neverness, some 4,000 light minutes in diameter. It is being referred to as the negation zone. It is expanding slowly, beyond the heliopause of the Sol system, and is starting to envelop the Opic Oort cloud and disturb its ice dust and its nurseries of long-period comets.
That is crazy.
Thiel knows that the area is big, inconceivably big, the entire span of a solar system. He also knows that however big he imagines it is, the true scale is beyond his comprehension. There is no...
It's the size of Sagittarius... Is it Sagittarius A? The supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. I think it's around that size. This warp anomaly that has been produced. I think that's how big it is. And that is huge. That is massive. No, I think the supermassive black hole in our center, the center of our galaxy, is far larger. But it is a very big, amount of space that has been engulfed by this warp anomaly. It's massive.
No way to determine the position of the Sun or Terra in the negation zone, or to know if either still exists. It is not even possible to calculate a projection of Terra's location based on established astronomical data. The vast area of blackness, that 4,000 light-minute span as observed from the interstellar medium outside, is primarily composed of warp stuff, and thus may be vastly bigger inside.
Or can we send a drone into this warp anomaly? Can we send a drone? If not a drone, then a scout ship. Maybe a couple of scout ships.
Without a beacon or true signal to lead it in, the fleet cannot reach Terra. They could go in blind, of course, and scour the blackness in the hope of finding something, but such an effort might take them 100,000 years, and they would most likely go missing themselves.
What about the Astronomicon? I'm sure it's still, lighting in the warp, right? And the navigators, I don't think they need to get into the warp to actually see it, right? Or maybe they need to, I don't know. But I'm thinking maybe that's another option that they might have, where the navigators could see it, the Astronomicon, and just follow the light that emanates from it.
The absence of a beacon or response is more than just a block to navigation. It suggests there is no one left to find. It suggests that all is entirely lost. Lamiad finishes his review. Shipmaster Dole begins his status report of the fleet's fitness, which Thiel also knows, word for word. Guilliman raises his hand, cutting Dole short. "No need, old friend," he says. "We all know." He studies the strategium. They all glance at each other. It is the first time in 8 days that the Primarch has broken his meticulous routine. Is his patience wearing thin? Is his desperate need to come to his father's aid eroding his good sense and tactical genius? Is he actually thinking of going in anyway? "I want," he begins quietly, "proposals. Proposals, my lord."
I like that. I like that Guilliman realizes that, he's going to need opinions on this matter, because this is far beyond even what he understands and knows of the warp. So yeah, open up and let's hear what your subordinates have to say. They might actually have an idea that will probably work. I like that.
Lamiad asks. "Proposals for reasonable measures of approach, Akos." Guilliman replies. "I will consider anything. Perhaps a long advanced column, our ships in a chain, each tied by Vox contact to the one behind, to fathom a route. Or beacon drogues sent ahead to light the way and transmit incremental navigation data. A chain advance would leave us entirely vulnerable to hostile ambush, my lord," says Lamiad. "The drogues are quickly overwhelmed by immaterial conditions, my lord," says Dole. "And any data cannot be trusted or expected to remain fixed."
Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's just go in. All of us. All three. What is it? How many ships are it again? $3,200, right? Yes. All 3,200 vessels. Go in. All at the same time. Let's go.
"That's enough," says Theo. You can see the look on Guilliman's face. The Primarch is not suggesting such things, and is perfectly aware of their impracticalities. They are merely theoreticals to illustrate the type of ideas he is looking for. Dole nods. Captain Valuta gives Thiel a cold look, but says nothing. An Astartes sergeant gets to scold a Tetrarch when he serves as commander of the Master of Ultramar's protection detail. "Theoreticals, precisely," says Guilliman. He gestures towards the ominous blackness of the table's display. "The only enemy I see, my friends, is tension. I would rather we had an actual foe to engage." He pauses. "The Emperor must live," he adds. "And what if he does not?" Thiel wonders. What follows? A collapse of the Imperium, an endless war against the usurping War Master, the ascension of Ultramar as the new Imperium in the East. Would Guilliman succeed his father? Surely there is no other candidate. Damn the theoreticals. Thiel looks away. He does so in time to see the Mistress of Sensoria rise from her seat, 20 meters below on the main floor of the bridge. "My lord," Thiel says at once. Guilliman has seen her. They descend to the Sensoria station, with Lamiad, Dohal and Valator trailing. "Contact!" the Mistress of Sensoria declares. She steadies her voice. "I am painting a contact 6 AU inside the anomaly limits." "Inside?" Guilliman asks, joining her. "Within the zone of disruption. Yes, my lord," she replies. "A signal?" Guilliman asks. Though he tries to disguise it, there is a note of hope in the Primarch's voice that Thiel finds unbearably painful. "No, my lord. A ship." The Mistress of Sensoria snaps her fingers and her officers redouble their efforts at the stations around her, finessing Auspec's main augers and particle sweeps. "Indistinct," she says, studying the screen as the results collate. "Almost an imaging ghost, but it appears to be a vessel of significant displacement. Any smaller and it would be invisible in the miasma. After days of scrutiny, it's the first source, signal, or object of any kind they have detected inside the negation zone." "Identity?" Guilliman asks, looking for himself. "Marker code? Transponder?" "Non-registering," replies the Mistress of Sensoria. "That's a large ship," comments Lamiad. "Can you rotate the image to plan view? Enhance, and run a silhouette comparative?" Doel asks the Mistress of Sensoria. "Already in process, my master," she replies. The fuzz of green light on the black screen tilts slightly, but becomes no more distinct. It's just a blur to Thiel. If he hadn't been told, he would have mistaken it for a smudged thumbprint on the glass, which is why he is Legionis Astartes, Master at Arms, and the Mistress of Sensoria
Wow.
is the Mistress of Sensoria.
Yeah.
"Gloriana class," she says abruptly.
Gloriana class? Aren't those the vessels that Primarchs use? Huh.
Awaiting cogitator confirmation. "Yes, Gloriana class." Doel is about to say something. "Scylla pattern," says the Mistress of Sensoria. "Cogitation confirms Gloriana class, Scylla pattern." She looks at Guilliman nervously. "Which one?" he asks. The Mistress of Sensoria somehow retains her composure. "There is not a long list of alternatives, my lord," she says. "Configuration of the hull and bow do not match any profiles in the registry, and it is significantly larger than any Gloriana class on record. It has clearly undergone refit or rebuild, or perhaps some other form of alteration.
Wait a minute. It can't be it can't be the Vengeful Spirit. It can't be that ship. That ship is on Earth or orbiting Earth. How would it be so close at the edge of the solar system? And the edge of this anomaly, warp anomaly. How could it be there?
"Which one?" asks Guilliman again.
Wait, how many other Primarchs have Gloriana class vessels that are traitors and that have come to Earth with their Gloriana vessel? How many of them? Because the only one I know that came to Earth, as far as I know, is the Vengeful Spirit.
"I cannot authenticate definitively, my lord," she says. "But aspects of the stern assembly and hull plating suggest it is the Vengeful Spirit. There is a long silence.
It just doesn't make sense. Definitely this is something to do with the warp. Maybe this is a warp after image of the vengeful spirit. I don't think it's the real vengeful spirit. And if it is, or it is what I think it is, like it's just an after image or a fake, I would tell Guilliman to prepare for battle. Destroy this fake vengeful spirit.
Does he? Guilliman clears his throat. Does he come for us? The contact is not moving or under power, says the Mistress of Sensoria. No shields, no trace of weapons primed or armed. Prepare to engage.
Exactly.
Guilliman says to Dole quietly. I want that ship dead. Dole nods. I ask you to confirm your instruction, my lord. So confirmed and ordered, Guilliman responds. Dole turns. Officer of record, he shouts. Start the mark! Initiating 13th Legion combat record, elapsed time count, the rubricator marshal replies. Count begins. Solar realm mark 00.00.00. My lord, says the Mistress of Sensoria suddenly. A second contact. Ah, says Guilliman, turning back to her. Now his fleet emerges. It is another Gloriana-class vessel, she says.
My gosh, okay. What, does this one belong to Angron? Or Mortarion? Or, wait, who else was on Terra? Magnus the Red. Huh.
Another.
Or Perturabo.
6 light minutes lateral to the first, not in formation. Is it the Conqueror? She hesitates. She wants to answer him obediently, but she doesn't know how. Mistress, says Guilliman, will you oblige me with an answer? We have pattern match, she says in a small voice. It is also the vengeful spirit. This is...
Definitely, like I stated before, it's an after image, it's a fake, it's a clone created by the Chaos Gods. They're trying to, confuse the fleet. They're trying to confuse the fleet, trying to make them, a bit apprehensive on what they should do, how they should do it. This is a trick. Don't fall for it. Proceed. Go to Terra.
An imaging error, Dole says immediately. Refresh the third contact, announces an officer at the station beside them. Fourth contact, calls another. The Mistress of Sensoria starts to project the sensor data on the main display. By the time she has added the first 4, another 6 have been called out, then 10 more. The number continues to rise, an officer calling out every few seconds. The ships, now 30-odd in number and rising, are scattered across the negation zone ahead. Some are close to the edge, just light seconds away at the fringe of the heliopore's limit. Others are deeper inside the zone. They are not in any kind of formation or fleet cohesion. Many are not aligned to the galactic plane or even pointing in the same direction relative. None are under power. They are floating adrift, spread across an area 26 light minutes square, which, significantly, is the current scope of the flagship Sensoria cone. There are now 50, 70, 210, 400.
They're fakes. Don't fall for it.
They are all Gloriana class. Only 20 such ships were ever made. They are all the vengeful spirit, multiplying, breeding, slowly filling the negation zone like stars coming out, or like a ramifying fractal pattern. 1,000, 3,000, 6.
No, come on. Rebooter Guilliman, use logic in this matter. You know for a fact that these ships cannot be mass produced at such a high number in such a short space amount of time. It's not possible. And you know for a fact that the warp, it cannot be understood. There are many things about the warp that we just don't understand. The entities in the warp are doing something in terms of trying to scare you. They're trying to manipulate your actions by presenting you with a very dangerous threat, and that is the vengeful spirit. And by them multiplying it with so many numbers of these after-clone images of the vengeful spirit, they're just trying to scare you from trying to enter into the solar system. Use logic on this matter. These things are not real. It's just energy. After image energy based holograms, if I can say that. It's not the real thing.
They are all the same ship. One ship. The War Master's monstrous battleship. And it is everywhere. Greetings, one and all. If you enjoyed that, you can support me on my Patreon, Discord, Redbubble, or with a channel membership. Or simply like, comment and subscribe to catch any future DQVO videos.
I'm serious. DQOV really sounds like Voldemort's Guide to Warhammer. I'm sorry. It's the energy. it's just so similar to Voldemort's Guide. Yeah. Okay.
And as always, my thanks for watching.
Alright guys, that is it with, let's see here, The End and the Death 3. Guilliman arrives at Terra. Voiceover on the DQVO YouTube channel. Yeah, like I stated before, this is a trap, or this is a trick created by the Chaos Gods by creating this warp field around the solar system, and creating these after images of the vengeful spirit. It's a way to cause fear and panic and chaos in the fleet that is being led by Guilliman. Those images of the vengeful spirit are not real. Those ships there are not real. It's fake. And because they're not even being powered, or you don't see any movement from the vessel, and the fact that they just appear out of nothingness, it just proves that these are just fake, holographic, or energy imitation type of anomalies created by the Chaos Gods. They are trying to prevent the fleet from reaching Terra as soon as possible, because I think during this time right now, Horus Reciprocal is already fighting with the Emperor and Sanguinius about the vengeful spirit, if I'm not mistaken. I think around this time they're busy fighting on the bridge, or the siege on Terra is still continuing. Either way, the Chaos Gods are invested in making sure that nobody disturbs this supposed victory of chaos against the Emperor of mankind. So they're trying to make sure that the fleet does not make it there, that they have to deal with these fake vengeful spirits. Yeah. So if I were Guilliman, or I was an advisor to Guilliman, I would be like, push on. Push on. We're going to push on until we reach Terra. We're going to get into that field. We're going to try and figure out where Earth is. Or should I say Terra, sorry. Terra is, and get to it as soon as possible. Yeah. That's all that can be done right now, because this situation of just waiting outside of this warp anomaly and just detecting all of these vengeful spirit vessels, it doesn't help the situation at all. It just doesn't. You have to push on. That's what I think. Alright guys, that is it. That was actually a very nice video as well, based on Guilliman and his fleet entering into, well, not that, well, yes, they are within the Oort cloud of the solar system, but they're not yet in the solar system, not just yet. But yeah, that was a nice video. Now, the next one is The End and the Death. Wait, hold on. The End and the Death, Sanguinius Embraces Dawn. Voiceover made on the DQVO YouTube channel. If you guys want to check out my previous reaction to Chaos of Eternity, Angron and Sanguinius voiceover, remember that the video is going to be somewhere here on this side. Yeah. If you want to check out my previous reactions to the other videos on the playlist, The End and the Death of Sanguinius, compiled by Anthrax Crab, remember that the links are going to be in the description below. Okay, I'm going to see you next with The End and the Death, Sanguinius Embraces Dawn.